All right, guys, welcome to my review of Westworld episode 7. And this episode was fantastic. Sorry it's not a live video. Charles and Lou Rod couldn't make it, so I decided to just record this review. Now, this was an absolutely great episode. As I mentioned during The Walking Dead, we're moving Westworld now to Walking Dead's position. So 10:30 on Sundays, we're going to have a live recap of Westworld. This was an absolutely fantastic episode. It showcased a couple of things. Number one, we saw William fall in love with a robot. He fell in love with Dolores. And you could see what his friend was trying to tell him, that, Westworld does is what Westworld's actually doing to him. He's becoming more of himself, less of that character who was always trying to live a lie or live somebody else's lie, so to speak. So it was interesting there. We saw more dynamics from the board, and we saw the corporate espionage. They were trying to do a hostile takeover in ways that they still couldn't comprehend the grasp that Ford's character, Ford, aka Anthony Hopkins, has on this park. So we see the lady from the board. She has the one of the main villains from Westworld in her room. I think she was having sex with him. Teresa comes in. Teresa is talking to her, and they're like, there needs to be sacrificial lamb. And that theme plays throughout this episode. Now, the one person we didn't see this episode was Elsie. Elsie, we don't know what happened. I initially thought it was the character from the security guy, the head security guy. But we saw him in this episode, and we didn't see Elsie around. So Elsie's kind of missing for some reason. So it was interesting how a lot of these dynamics play, because now they've set the tone on what's really happening. We finally found out that the host characters can be rewritten anyhow. I mean, in terms of manipulation. So we saw the board being able to do that, to kind of stage this malfunction of characters from Westworld. So that you could blame either Bernard or Ford, and Bernard, of course, was fired at that point, which leads us to the big reveal. If you haven't watched this episode yet, definitely do that, because there's a huge twist at the end. Something that some people saw coming. I think Charles called it. So if you know what Charles called, then definitely. But we'll get to that in a second. Also, the fact that this episode was around Dolores, William a little bit. It was more around Bernard, Ford, and Teresa. Teresa is the head of the she's the corporate head within Westworld itself. Now, she and the lady from the board talked about the little experiment the company is doing. What is that experiment? Part of me was thinking, like Teresa said, they want all that data that they've accumulated from, the host over 35 years. Because that's not backed up off-site, that is backed up on-site, and the only person who has the keys to that is Ford. So, of course, that's a really huge investment that they can sell, they can do so many things with. But she said that's not it, that there's something else. There's something else that they want to, that they're working on. We don't know what that is. And then the twist at the end was so fantastic, not because of the twist itself, but the fact that how the show leads a lot of things. There's some slow periods, there's some reveals, there's some soft reveals within characters, as you see. We see Dolores, her code has been rewritten a little bit by Arnold from wherever he is. And we've also seen the fact that humans also can now gain affection for hosts, as we see with William. And we also saw Tanya Newton's character, the Madam, looking to break free from Westworld. She wants to leave Westworld because her character can't take the pain anymore, and she still needs the help of Felix and his friend, who are the body fixers. So there's a lot of little dynamics. But going back to that reveal, we found out that Bernard takes Teresa to the cottage that Ford has, and to show her the things that Ford has been making and all that stuff. And you start getting hints that something is wrong. Teresa says, did you see this door? And Ford's like, what door? And that's the first thing you get this hint. And you're like, no, is it really? Now, if you didn't know about the theories, then yeah, you would think that way. If you did, you're like, oh, come on. And they go down to the cellar. You see Ford has a 3D printing machine, printing human. He's been making his own host. He's been introducing his own host throughout, throughout Westworld without actually telling anyone. And then Teresa's going through plans. She sees the original plan for the little boy, original plan for Dolores, and she stops and she freezes. And the look in her face and like disdain, and she now turns around to Bernard and hands it over to him. He's like, "Have you seen this?" And he says that very common host phrase, "There's nothing here that I recognize." And that's when you realize Bernard is a host. And yes, Charles was right. Yeah, and I'm like, no, come on, not Bernard. He's the nicest person there. Yes, literally. And then you hear Ford, and Ford comes in. You realize Ford is crazy. Ford is mad. Ford is the mad king of Westworld. And he's talking about how the hosts are free from anxiety, pain, and and she's like, our affair that we had, you're the one who introduced him to us. He's like, no, you're the one who did that, not me. I didn't tell him to sleep with you. Those kind of things. So, and you can see her shock and disdain. She knows that something is going to go badly wrong. And, he tells her that he's God in Westworld. And she's like, this will never stand, the board would let this, all that stuff. And then he tells Bernard that he should help Teresa rest, that she's having a period of anxiety. What I like about that scene is the way Anthony Hopkins just casually portrays. He's like the distant cousin of his character from Silence of the Lamb. I'm serious. It's the same odd creepiness in there. But the fact that he uses audio cues that are so sublime really makes his mastery of the character really great. So when he says that, he just told Bernard to kill Teresa. And this is Bernard killing the person who he's loved recently. And Teresa, this is her lover that's about to kill her, and a lover who just found out is a robot. And it was just so eerie, Bernard taking off his jacket, removing his tie, being very professional, and then he just goes and bashes her head. I mean, man, no, this is a really good episode all the way through. It's just getting better and better and better. So we now know that Bernard is a host to me, and Teresa said something really important. She said, "Is this how you took out Arnold?" And maybe Anthony Hopkins actually killed Arnold. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe Arnold is trying to come back, and Arnold is the good guy, and we see that he is Ford is actually the main villain of this. So we'll see how it all turns out. But so far, really good episode. Definitely watch it. I highly recommend it. We're moving time to 10:30 p.m. on Sunday. We'll be giving you our Westworld roundup. If you guys have any questions or any comments, let us know. Join us live 10:30 this Sunday. Otherwise, don't forget to like and share this video. Favorite this video, subscribe to the channel, and always enjoy your entertainment.